chosen woman, there is something you need to hear now, and I will not delay this revelation. The person who distanced themselves from you, who seemed to have chosen a distant and definitive path, does not live the freedom they show on social media, nor the happiness they try to appear to have in public. There exists a truth that the gaze does not reveal, but that the heart cannot hide. Behind each calculated gesture, there is a profound emptiness, a weight they carry in silence, a torment that intensifies with each passing day. It is natural that, seeing this person apparently moving forward, you felt that everything had ended, that nothing more exists between you. But what you don't know is that, in the invisible field, the story is far from being erased. Because what connects two souls cannot be broken with distance, with pride, or with hasty decisions. And it is precisely because of this that, in the early hours, when silence covers the earth and the distractions of the day cease, you feel a different energy, as if an insistent thought were trying to cross over to your heart. This sensation is not coincidence. It does not arise from nothing. It is the reflection of a spiritual battle being fought within this person, a conflict between what they try to sustain with pride and the truth that pulses within. Perhaps you have already asked yourself, why do I still feel something? Why does it seem like they call to me, even from a distance? The answer lies in the spiritual bond you built. A bond that cannot be undone merely by a human decision, because it was born in a higher dimension, where time and space have no power to erase. While you walk toward healing, toward strengthening your faith and rediscovering your own essence, this person tries to flee from themselves. They show themselves busy, surrounded by new people, new experiences, but in silence they are overtaken by memories that give no respite. And the more they try to convince themselves that they made the right choice, the more the heart rebels against the lie that the mind insists on sustaining. The distancing, in practice, did not bring the freedom they sought. It brought instead an invisible prison. Because when someone distances themselves from a chosen woman, they do not break just a relationship, they also break an energetic flow that kept their life in balance. This truth does not appear in the first days, nor in the first weeks. It reveals itself in the silence of the early hours, when masks fall and the soul speaks without censure. And you need to understand something. Your spiritual sensitivity makes you perceive this call even without wanting to. The feminine heart, when aligned with the divine, is capable of capturing distant vibrations, as if they were echoes from a parallel reality. Therefore, on nights when you wake up for no reason, with an accelerated heart or with an unexpected thought about this person, do not doubt, it is the reflection of the battle they fight within themselves. It is the hidden truth trying to break through the barriers of pride and reach you. This awakening is inevitable. No soul can flee forever from what is sacred. And no matter how much they try to hide in parties, in empty conversations, in new superficial relationships, the universe always finds a way to expose the truth. Because it is not just about longing, it is about a spiritual connection that demands recognition. And while this silent struggle grows, a new cycle begins to form. Because the true torment, the one that can no longer be silenced, manifests precisely in the deepest hours of the early morning, when the veils become thin and consciousness awakens to what was lost. While you, chosen woman, work on your own healing and strengthen your faith each day, there exists another side of the story that the world does not see. That person who distanced themselves, whom you so often imagine to be sleeping peacefully, actually faces the worst moment precisely when everyone believes they rest. It is in the silence of the early hours that truth knocks at the door, and there is no distraction capable of silencing the conscience. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., when the external world rests, and only the invisible seems to watch, this person awakens to the weight of the error committed. This is the time when the mind can no longer sustain masks, when the body no longer finds strength to protect itself with justifications, and when the soul screams with greater intensity. It is in this seemingly ordinary time-space that the universe chooses to act, bringing to the surface memories they would like to bury. The memories emerge like painful flashes, a look from you, a touch, a conversation that could have ended differently, words that remain stuck and were never said. Suddenly, they smell the perfume you used to wear, as if you were present in the environment, even being miles away. This phenomenon is not psychological, it is spiritual. It is the way the cosmos finds to show that true connections do not disappear without leaving traces. While you strengthen yourself and learn to sleep in peace, this person lives nights of insomnia. They roll from one side to the other, change positions, pick up their phone trying to distract themselves, but nothing works. Because it is not the body that needs rest, it is the conscience that demands reparation. And no illuminated screen, no superficial conversation, and no empty content can silence the internal voice that echoes louder and louder. And there is an even deeper detail. The early hours do not bring only memories. They also bring the weight of regret. Their heart relives the moments by your side as if it were today, and the pain that once seemed bearable now becomes unbearable. They try to convince themselves that they made the right choice, but cosmic energy does not allow it. With each lost hour of sleep, the universe reinforces the memory that some connections are too sacred to be destroyed with impunity. This torment, however harsh it may be, is not punishment. It is learning. It is the reflection of the spiritual law that governs bonds of true love. Insomnia is not a simple disorder, it is the consequence of denying a call from the soul. And the more this person resists, the more intense the conflict becomes, because the universe does not rest until the lesson is learned. While the clock advances slowly and the early morning seems endless, this person realizes that nothing can fill the void. Neither new relationships, nor material achievements, nor the presence of friends around. Everything becomes shallow, small, insufficient. And when they look within themselves, they discover that the true absence is not in the external world, but in the loss of the sacred energy you represented in their life. You may not even perceive it consciously, but your spiritual strength is felt by them from a distance. Each prayer you make, each tear you shed, each night you place yourself before the divine to ask for clarity and direction, reverberates in this person's energetic field. That is why the early morning becomes unbearable. It is as if the light you emit in your evolution exposes even more the darkness they try to hide. And it is at this point that the torment reaches its strongest dimension, the sensation of having lost something that can never be replaced. This is the pain that corrodes, that takes away sleep, that makes the heart race inexplicably in the most silent hours of the night. And even trying to flee, even trying to deny, this person finds no way out. Because the universe leads them to the inevitable recognition of the truth they tried to reject. And so, night after night, early morning after early morning, conscience shapes a new reality. No matter how much they resist, no matter how much they try to appear strong, the heart knows, the soul feels, and life collects its due. Because there is no way to escape the spiritual consequences of having distanced oneself from a chosen woman. But this is only the surface of what is happening. Because the torment of silent early mornings is just the beginning of a much deeper process. There exists an energetic weight that settles when someone rejects true love. And this weight begins to manifest not only in the heart, but in all areas of life. Woman of light, this is where you need to understand a spiritual principle that completely transforms how you view the distancing you experienced. When someone decides to disconnect from a chosen woman, it is not just about the end of a common relationship. It is not just the breaking of a human bond. What happens is an energetic rupture of great proportions, and the effects of this are much more serious than this person imagined at the moment of decision. Sacred feminine energy has a unique function in the universe. It balances, sustains, and directs. When you were beside this person, your presence was not just companionship. It was a source of balance, it was the channel through which invisible blessings flowed that nourished their journey. Many men do not realize it, but their victories, their projects, even the clarity of their decisions, are profoundly connected to the spiritual strength of the woman who accompanies them. When this energy is rejected, the field of protection breaks and imbalance begins to settle. This person, since distancing themselves, may have even believed they would gain freedom, that they could conduct their own life without depending on anyone. But spiritual reality does not work this way. What began as a sensation of relief soon transformed into a sequence of blockages. Projects that get stuck for no apparent reason, opportunities that slip from their hands, relationships that seem promising but crumble quickly. Gradually, they begin to perceive that nothing flows as before, as if an invisible current had been interrupted. And this is not about superstition. It is spiritual law. When someone distances themselves from the energy of a chosen woman, they also lose the subtle support that came through her. This absence cannot be easily replaced, because it is not just any connection that sustains such strength. The void is not just emotional, it is energetic, and it reverberates in all areas of life. This person, then, begins to live with the constant sensation of lack. Nothing fills, nothing satisfies, nothing brings true peace. They may seek immediate relief in new relationships, but soon discover that these encounters lack depth, do not heal, do not touch the soul. On the contrary, they increase the void even more, because comparison becomes inevitable. At some point along the way, conscience recognizes. Nothing is the same. Nothing compares. You, perhaps without realizing it, were the center of balance that sustained the energy of this life. Your presence radiated a strength that cannot be measured in words, but that was felt in the clarity of choices, in the progress of paths, even in prosperity. By distancing themselves, this person gave up not just a love, but a spiritual anchor that kept them firm amid storms. Now, without this support, they navigate adrift, facing waves of regret and storms of longing that knock them down with each attempt to move forward. And the universe, in its perfect justice, does not allow this reality to go unnoticed. Signs begin to multiply, small failures that accumulate, inexplicable delays, friendships that dissolve suddenly. It is as if life, in every detail, were screaming that something essential was lost. Because there is no way to maintain prosperity when one rejects the spiritual link that sustained harmony. This painful experience, for them, is also a calling. The cosmos does not act out of cruelty, but out of pedagogical love. Each blockage, each void, each frustration, is a reminder that there is a necessary adjustment, that the decision made went against not only the heart, but also the energetic law that unites souls and mission. Meanwhile, you, chosen woman, continue your journey of strengthening. What could have turned into weakness became fuel in you. You are learning to nourish yourself from the divine, to seek your strength in the sacred, to reconnect with the source from which all balance comes. It is precisely because of this that the difference between you becomes increasingly evident. You grow, flourish, expand, while they wither in the absence of the energy they rejected. And the more this spiritual distance increases, the more intense the weight of separation becomes. Because their soul begins to recognize, even without admitting it, that they rejected not just a woman, but a mission. They rejected not just a love, but a purpose. And this consciousness, no matter how much it tries to be stifled, cannot be silenced forever. And it is at this point that the universe begins to act even more clearly, sending signs that cannot be ignored. Signs that repeat day after day, night after night, until pride yields and truth is faced head-on. Chosen woman, the universe never allows an energetic injustice to remain in silence. What human eyes try to hide, the cosmos reveals through insistent, almost screaming signs that appear in every detail of daily life. And this person who distanced themselves from you can no longer escape these manifestations. Wherever they go, with whomever they are, it is as if the presence of both of you together were constantly being remembered. It all begins subtly, a song that plays randomly, exactly the one that marks special moments of the relationship. At first, they try to ignore it, treat it as coincidence. But when this same song repeats in different places, consecutive days, even in unlikely moments, the heart can no longer deny. It is the universe speaking directly to the soul, reminding of something that cannot be forgotten. And it doesn't stop there. Daily objects, photos stored in forgotten places, phrases said by strangers that seem to carry your words, everything becomes a trigger. It is as if life had decided to transform the everyday into a mirror, constantly reflecting the absence of what was once rejected. This person may try to erase you from their mind, but the world around insists on bringing your memory back, as if saying, "You were wrong, and you need to recognize it." There are also the dreams, which repeat night after night. In the unconscious, where there are no masks nor rational resistance, you appear clearly, alive, almost palpable. They wake up startled, with an accelerated heart, trying to convince themselves it is nothing but a loose memory. But the frequency of these dreams is such that it becomes impossible to ignore. In many of them, the reunion happens, in others, the separation hurts once more. And every detail lived in these dreams serves as a warning that the connection was not broken. The signs also appear in numbers, in dates, in symbols that carry the mark of the relationship. It could be the exact time when you met, it could be the repetition of numbers linked to anniversaries or important moments. These numerical sequences begin to appear insistently, on the clock, on license plates, on receipts, in random places. The person tries to flee, but cannot, because the universe does not allow the bond to be ignored. This set of signs is not chance. It is divine pedagogy. It is the way the cosmos finds to expose the error and direct back to the path of truth. It is as if the universe screamed, without rest. You rejected something that was sacred, and you need to recognize it. And no matter how much they try to harden themselves, the heart trembles before this evidence. And every time these signs appear, an inner weight increases. Because along with the memory also comes regret, the awareness that the greatest error of spiritual life was committed. It is not just about longing, it is about recognizing that something essential was lost. The universe, in its loving justice, does not allow this person to live in peace until they understand the dimension of the choice they made. Meanwhile, you, chosen woman, continue receiving your share of signs, but in another way. For you, the signs come as confirmations, as comfort, as reminders that you are not alone and that your energy is recognized on the spiritual plane. Every time you also notice repeated numbers, songs, dreams, understand, it is not delirium, it is connection. The cosmos is showing that there is something greater happening, and that the story has not yet reached its end. But there is something that needs to be said. The signs are not sent to hurt, but to teach. They are not punishment, they are direction. The universe does not wish to imprison, it wishes to liberate. Liberate from illusion, from pride, from the resistance that prevents the recognition of truth. And so, day after day, these signs intensify. Until the point arrives when the heart can no longer deny. Because no matter how much someone tries to hide, when the connection is sacred, the universe acts with firmness, conducting every detail toward awakening. And it is in this awakening that the greatest torment is born, realizing that while you grow, flourish, and strengthen in your journey, the distance only increases this person's despair. Because now, besides the external signs, they begin to feel something even more powerful, the magnetic force of your spiritual growth. Chosen woman, perhaps you do not yet have full awareness of what is happening in your life since the distancing. While this person fights against signs, insomnia, and regret, you have gone through a silent, yet magnificent process of growth. And it is exactly this growth that torments them most, because they feel your transformation from a distance, like a spiritual magnet that attracts them and, at the same time, makes them desperate. Each step you take toward your personal strengthening is like a lighthouse in the middle of darkness. What before might have seemed like weakness has transformed into power. The pain you lived, instead of destroying your essence, opened doors to a new awakening. You began to look within yourself, to rescue your self-esteem, to reconnect with your spirituality, and this journey has produced an energy so intense that it cannot be hidden. Your light now shines brighter than ever. And do not think this strength goes unnoticed. Even from a distance, this person feels the difference. The universe is wise, and energies know no physical barriers. That is why they, in their silent early mornings, feel an uneasiness they cannot explain. They don't know exactly what you are experiencing, but they feel you are becoming someone even more special, someone who flourishes without depending on anyone, someone who found in pain the fuel to be reborn. This is the greatest torment they carry now, realizing they lost not just a woman, but a priestess in formation. You, with your evolution, become increasingly rare, increasingly luminous, increasingly connected to the divine. And while your energy grows, theirs seems to diminish, because it is no longer sustained by your presence. This difference creates such a profound contrast that it increases the weight of regret. With each of your conquests, each smile that resurfaces, each intimate victory you achieve, this person feels as if they were being left behind. Because the universe allows them to perceive, even without seeing directly, that you are no longer the same. You are not stopped in time, you are not trapped in the past, you are not begging for attention. On the contrary, you have become living proof that true strength is born when the soul decides to rise, even after being wounded. And this perception generates enormous fear in them. Fear of having lost the most precious chance they ever had. Fear of no longer being worthy to walk beside you. Fear that, upon returning, they will find you so elevated that there is no longer space for a new beginning. This fear is the fuel of the despair that corrodes their nights, because deep down they know, the more you grow, the more difficult it will be to reconquer the place they rejected. But here is the most important revelation: this growth is not just to show them what they lost. It is to show you yourself who you really are. The pain did not come to destroy you, it came to reveal you. The distancing did not happen to weaken you, it happened to strengthen you, so that you would discover the greatness you always carried within yourself. And it is this magnetic force, fruit of your flourishing, that moves all the spiritual dynamics now. Because while you elevate yourself, they are pulled to recognize what they denied. And this process is not just human, it is cosmic. The universe, in its wisdom, uses your evolution as a mirror to reveal their error and as a lighthouse to indicate the way back. You have become, without realizing it, a living testimony to the power of transformation. Your energy reaches distances, invades early mornings, breaks resistances. This is what keeps them connected to you, even against their own will. Because sacred connections do not fade away, they only transform into instruments of learning and spiritual growth. And this is where everything connects. While they wither in regret, you flourish in grace. While they fight against conscience, you walk in peace. While they suffer the weight of absence, you discover the fullness of divine presence in your life. This is the magnetic force that governs your story. The more you rise, the more the universe reveals the truth to them. And the great question is that this process has not ended. Because with each new step of yours, the signs intensify for them. With each conquest of yours, their insomnia deepens. With each prayer of yours, their heart becomes agitated. Until the inevitable moment arrives when there will be no way to deny, the bond between you continues alive, and the decision that seemed definitive will become the greatest turning point of their spiritual life. Chosen woman, if this message spoke to your heart, leave your like so that more women receive this word of revelation. Share this video with those who need this light and write in the comments what touched your soul most today. I will love reading your experience. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because there are still many spiritual truths you need to hear that can transform your love life and spiritual life.